our Across the Aisle segment tonight, President Trump may end the public service student loan forgiveness program. The program, as it stands right now, if you work for the government or for a nonprofit for 10 years, you can have your student loans forgiven. Which raises the question, why are we spending taxpayer money to incentivize graduates to work for the government? With me now, Democratic strategist Adam Sostrin. Adam, good to see you.
Always great being here. I was just at Whole Foods. Obviously, I didn't get the memo to wear yoga pants, but I'm still feeling good.
Adam, let me ask you about this student loan forgiveness program. Why would the government pick and choose who gets their student loans forgiven based off of what type of employer they work for, private versus government?
Well, I mean, this is obviously a decision that the government can make, and this was made under the Bush administration in 2007. If you are a public defender, if you are some other government employee, you're a doctor, you decide to work in some rural community, they want to find ways to incentivize qualified people to take these positions. And so this one affects me personally because I used to be a public defender.
Right. But the people that you just mentioned, those are not the only people. It's not these few and far between cases of people serving in our government. This is anybody who works for government in any capacity. I mean, you could be, one of the people that worked in Washington, D.C. who was watching dirty videos on their laptop on taxpayer dime, that story that broke a year or so ago, and you could get your student loans forgiven if you just worked there enough enough years.
So this wasn't specifically for those people who were watching those things on their laptops?
No, it better not have been. It better not have been. No, Adam, I guess the real question here is why should I have to pay? Why should I or any other taxpayer, why should we have to pay for other people's student loans?
It's my understanding that this affects about a little over 500,000 people with government jobs. It takes a lot. These people aren't living lavish lifestyles. They're choosing to do something, which is a public good, and they're choosing to do it for at least 10 years. And after 10 years, actually, I guess the next part of 2017, people are going to start qualifying for the first time to get this student loan forgiveness.
No, I get that. But why is their job more important than anyone else's job? Like, why is a teacher in a public school eligible for this, but not a teacher in a private school? Their job is equitable. Their service should be equitable. Well, why are we picking and choosing whose jobs are more important and who's more valuable?
Well, I think there's something with respect to government service in the sense that you are helping people in a sense, in a nonprofit type of capacity. It's a salary job that you're getting. I know these aren't, but it's not on the a private dime. So for instance, these public defenders, they are doing as hard as they can for people who don't have a voice. They're making significantly less money, many of them are, than people that are doing private criminal defense work. And then so if somebody asked me whether their work was more valuable, in a sense I'd say it would be.
But I mean, you can compare that. No, I don't think that's logically consistent though, because you could compare that with a doctor in the private sector and say, this doctor, this pediatric cardiovascular surgeon, let's make him. You could say, well, is his job more important than a public school teacher's job? And that's with all due respect to teachers. I'm just saying, why should the government be picking and choosing whose job's more important, who's more valuable, and telling me that I have to pay off their student loans when they didn't have the responsibility to do it themselves?
This is a decision that the government is allowed to make, and that they did make. And
I get that, but we're talking about the wisdom of the decision. Why should they be allowed to do that, and why are they doing that?
Well, I think they should be allowed to do it because you want people to be incentivized to work in the public sector, which is traditionally lower paying jobs than in the private sector, with the exception of a few people's jobs who I can never understand and I wish I had them.
Okay, but I guess maybe that comes down to our difference in philosophy here. But why are government jobs more important than the private sector? Because the private sector is the place that creates most jobs, that employs most people. Shouldn't we be incentivizing those types of jobs, people providing for their families, versus the bloated bureaucracy of our government that has too many employees as it is?
Again, people are making decisions to take jobs that are, in a broad sense, lower pay than private sector jobs to do a good for the public. So it's okay, and I understand the incentive of George W. Bush to make this decision to create this program in 2007.
Listen, just because you invoke George W. Bush's name is not going to make me change my mind on this.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter to me who put the policy into place. I don't think government should be paying off other people's student loans. I mean, it basically puts the government in a position that they're telling me, I pull a paycheck in every week. They pull money out of my paycheck. They're saying if I wanted to help a family member of mine with college, that I don't get to make that choice. They're going to take the money for me and pay for some other stranger's college instead of letting me help my family members.
Well, don't worry. I mean, they want to get rid of this program, and we don't know if it's going to affect. I don't think it's going to affect people that have already been benefiting from it, and it's been accruing. Let's say people that have been there for 8 years or 9 years, and then if they violate that, of course, it'd be a violation of the Constitution and be a violation of the Contracts Clause. But it's going to disincentivize people from going into these programs in the future, all for the sake of this charter school myth that Davos is pushing for the first time.
Adam, you understand my argument, though. You understand that it's a problem when government picks winners and losers because there's always someone who's a loser when they pick winners and losers. And just because you happen to support it right now, it could easily be turned around. What if a Republican, say, came in and said, we're going to pay off the student loans of everyone who was part of college Republicans groups.
Everyone who's at Goldman Sachs, you pay off their student loans.
Right. Well, you wouldn't agree with that. So use that example if you want. You wouldn't like that. So why should the government have that authority in the first place?
Well, the government, of course, does have that authority. They have the purse. They can decide, how they want to spend these federal monies. And of course, this is a decision in which it's designed to benefit people that are trying to do something for the public good, that are getting, in general, less of a salary than people in the private sector.
Nope, I don't buy it. It's just another way for government to spread around the wealth, for them to be in control of our decisions. They're telling me that government knows best, that government can spend the money I earn better than I can spend it myself. I do not like that. Adam, unfortunately, we're out of time. We'll have to take this up another day. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Liz.